What is up, my fellow parents and grandparents? When I say today's episode is a little bit different, I am not being honest. Today's episode is very different because we love families here. Jordan and I love families, we love parents, and we love grandparents. And today's episode is for the grandparents. So if you were a grandparent and somebody sent you today's episode, just know that somebody really loves you. They really care about you, and they're trying to build a bridge with you to help them better understand you, you better understand them, and welcome to the grandparenting episode.
Welcome, everybody. Hey, Sean, that's a good way to look at it, though, because sometimes when I'll get a episode sent to me by my wife or a friend, it's usually hey, here's how you could do better. And ultimately, maybe that's why someone sent the grandparents this. It's here's how you could do better.
Yeah.
But I think if we look at it as hey, I want you to be in my life. I want you to be in my kid's life, and I want this to work great. We should look at it as a thank you for these tools that we're hopefully going to give some of these folks on how to be the best grandparents possible. And you've got some great examples as to why.
And it makes sense that there's books out there for every topic, right? How to do this, how to do that. It makes sense that there's parenting books.
Yeah.
It makes sense that there's parenting podcasts. And it makes sense that there's grandparenting books and because this is a new season of your life. You've probably never been a grandparent before. You've only been a grandparent for 5 years, 10 years, 5 months. And you're learning, you're growing. And Jordan and I are here because we love you. We care about your family. We want to give you some insights. We want to give you some tools. We want you to give you some tips. And then we want you to use the ones you love and toss the ones you don't.
But the reality here, Sean, is if I'm a grandparent, I've already been a parent. So I know how to be a grandparent because I've already been a parent.
Oh! That's why Jordan, I love Jordan. So this is exactly why we're making this episode, because grandparenting is different than parenting. First, let's introduce ourselves to our new friends.
What's great about it is I could just drop off the kids when they get bad, and I'm a grandparent. I get to go home.
Oh my gosh. Let me introduce myself. So first, my name is Sean Donohue. I'm 46 years old. I've got 3 kids, 20, 15, and 8 at the moment. My wife Danielle and I have been married for 21
Beautiful family.
years. We live in near the Sacramento, California region, and I make parenting podcasts. I make parenting videos. I've written a couple parenting books that should be coming out soon. If you haven't checked it out, I have a parenting membership, and I'm just all about family and good, normal, healthy, common sense, lovey-dovey stuff. And so Jordan, tell me a little bit about
my name's Jordan, you guys, and I've known Sean since I was a freshman in high school. Going to football practice, Sean Don came up to me, and we have literally been friends ever since. He helped me understand, who God is. He was a mentor for me. He helped me through college, and basically now we're adults, and he is still giving me tips on how to be the best husband, the best dude, the best parent. And now we've got this podcast, and people can find me in the state of Georgia, right? I actually work on the Weather Channel, but I do this, for fun because I've got 3 kids, and one of them is special needs. The other 2 are twins. They're preteens, and it's getting harder and harder. I'm just glad we have an outlet to talk to each other and take other input from other parents, because this parenting thing is crazy.
It is crazy. So yes, I'm about 7 years older than Jordan. So you got a little bit an older parent with some younger parents. So here is why we're making this episode, because there's problems in families. It's hard. Issues come up. It's hard, and we want to help you solve problems. We're going to be making some jokes throughout this episode, and we're going to be giving you 7 action steps for you, grandparent, for you to do. We hope you do these. We hope you take this episode very seriously and know that somebody seriously loves you. Now, here's a couple jokes, okay, just to try to get you ready to not hurt anyone's feelings, okay? Has anyone ever said to a grandparent, okay, mom, I love you, but please stop giving my toddler soda, okay?
But honey.
Okay, Dad, did you feed them? Did you forget to, Dad, did you feed them?
No, we played. We just played.
Dad, you have to remember to feed them. Mom, we don't say that. We don't say that anymore.
Right.
Mom, Dad, I got this. I'm doing discipline the way I want to do it. I got this. Dad, please stop. Please stop, Dad. Mom, this isn't 1980 anymore, okay? Things have changed.
Can't do that anymore. But honestly, from a grandparent's perspective, it's listen, you're not screwed up. I did great with you, and now you're telling me to do it
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Like, what happened to you? It's almost, you know what it is? I think the grandparents feel a little disrespected when we are telling them how to parent, because they're like, we've already done this and you turned out great. Why are you doing it differently?
Yeah. We're not going to psychologize any grandparent
No,
or
we're not.
person right now.
No, we're not.
But yes, it can be very emotional for a grandparent to see their child parenting differently than them. It could feel like a critique upon their parent. It can also feel kind of like you're out of the loop. You feel powerless. Like, what is going on here? I have no power. This is my family. This is my grandchild. I'm here. I'm babysitting. I care. And it's just it's a unique human experience that we want to give you seven tips
I love
for.
it. I could also go the other route, because this is how I could see Sean Donohue being a grandparent. He could be like, hey, bro, Jordan, check out what I'm going to do to my daughter right now. And he would purposely go give his daughter's kids a bunch of sugar, go take them on a bunch of rides, and then drop them off and be like, here, daughter, all done with the grandparenting. And then they're left with the hyped up, all sugared kid trying to put him to bed.
That's definitely is probably going to happen, because here's some good news. Some people dream of having a Ferrari. Some people dream of just being retired or having a lake house. I dream of being a grandparent.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited to be a grandparent. I can't wait for my kids to get married so I can have other kids in my life.
It's gonna be fun, man.
It's gonna be so fun. All right, let's dive into it. All right, here's 7 action steps. Okay, action step number 1 for all you grandparents listening to this is you got to embrace your evolving role. Evolving means it's changing.
But what if I know it's not right?
changing.
What if I'm like, you're doing this and it's not right?
Right. We're going to get there. But this is part of your role. Your part of your evolving role is realize that what's right for you it doesn't matter as much, because you are not the point person. You are not the grandparent. So what this means is for you to do some inner work, to talk to yourself, to think about, you've got to take a shift here that from parent to grandparent, it's not about reparenting. It's about supporting and enjoying children. Emphasizing this is like your job as a grandparent is really about connection, not so much correction. It's the parent's job to teach. It's the parent's job to guide. Your job is enjoying, spending time, and your job is serving. Right? This is part of your evolving role. Like, your job is not just to come and to be another kid, but you're an adult. We need you. We need a village. We can't parent alone. We can. Some people are parenting alone. It's really lonely. It's really hard. So in many ways, like, here's something that I think is really important. I've been thinking deeply about this. Like, in a lot of ways, grandparenting is so different than parenting, because you get such limited time and you get limited power. But in many ways, Jordan, think about this. Everyone take a deep breath after you hear this. In many ways, it's very similar to parenting, because here it comes. Because grandparenting is not about you. It's not about you. It's about the children, about what is best for the children and for the parents. It's about like many times grandparents, they want to make it about them. Like, what about me? This is what I want to do. Or I don't want to spend time with the kids. Or I don't want to babysit my own grandkids. Or no, I can't help out. But like, part of your role to be the best, how to be a grandparent that every kid and parent loves, is realizing like you have a role here, and it's about serving, enjoying, and also kind of like letting someone else take the lead.
Are there, I don't know. I know you don't know this. I'm just asking you, and I'm asking people out there. Would you say there are a good amount of grandparents out there that actually don't want to help out or don't want to be a part of their grandchild's lives? Or I'm just curious, maybe in what you're seeing, or in my mind, a mind from just looking at movies and looking at people around, is like grandparents love coming and spending time with their kids and their grandkids. But there's got to be this subset of other grandparents that maybe aren't thinking this way.
Okay, this is a very sensitive topic, everybody. How do I say this? So, Jordan, partly why we're making this episode is because there are a lot of grandparents who are in this generation, of grandparents who are not spending as much time with their grandchildren as the parents would desire. This is a generation of grandparents who many of them are having a hard time understanding the role of grandparenting. This is a generation who many parents in this generation, people in their 30s and 40s, are saying, yeah, like there's something off with my parent. Like they just don't seem to care about my kids. They don't want to spend that much time. They don't seem to want to help out. They're just like kind of doing their own thing.
They've already done it once. They're done. They're like, hey, it's your turn. I did my part. I'm older.
Yeah, and they just maybe they'll send cards or
a
couple times a year, or they'll show up, but they don't really want to get to know their grandkids. They don't say like, hey, how can I help out? Can I come over and babysit, or can I come over and give you some relief for a few days? There's a lot of that going on, and there's a lot of parents that are kind of shocked. And sad and disenfranchised. Like, what is happening here? Like, why are my parents like this? My grandparents weren't like this. My grandparents were X, Y, and Z. Or, you know what? I thought maybe, or it's like this, like my grandparents weren't involved in my life, and I thought my parents were going to be different. They saw how painful that was. So, and then they're repeating it. You know what I mean?
I do. And maybe us parents need to reflect. Maybe the grandparents wanted to come over and we made it too difficult for them because now we have so many rules and things are so different. So this will lead us to our second little tip here. So that first tip, Sean talked about embracing your evolving role as the grandparent. Also as the grandparent, and I would argue as the parent as well, is you have to respect parenting boundaries. Let's talk from the grandparent's perspective for a second, because obviously parenting has completely shifted when it comes to spanking, when it comes to playtime, when it comes to video screens, technology. Everything is so different in the world today than it was when parents were a kid. So
true.
Let's say I'm a grandparent and I'm looking at my child doing something and I know it's not working. Obviously, I'm be like, well, if you did it this way, like I did it, it would be just fine. Go flick him in the mouth or whatever it is, right? To get the kids to respond. But instead, we have to respect our kids' parenting boundaries if I'm the grandparent, right? So now I need to maybe offer advice in a gentle way, all right? Figuring out how I can support my adult child in their parenting journey because they're figuring it out too, right? And then I maybe need to reflect like, how were my parents with me and my grandparents with me? And we're all in this life journey that takes time to evolve. I'm a completely different parent now than I was when my kids were 5 or even just a couple of years ago. I've grown so much. And so we need to give them grace because they're learning too. As a grandparent, our kids are learning, all right? We know the way they parent's going to be a little different. Do what Sean said. Maybe if I'm a grandparent, reach out, hey, how can I help? Right? Hey, I'm here visiting. Instead of me sitting quietly and let's say reading my book or doing my Wordle or my crossword puzzle like I like to do, and that's a joke. Not all grandparents do that. But you could just be like, hey, what can I do? Can I help? Can you want me to change a diaper? Do you want me to make breakfast? Because that will allow, obviously, our kids, the other parents, to feel like that you want to be here, right? Like I want to know you want to be here too. If I'm a parent and I'm inviting my parents here, I want to know you want to be here just as much as you want to be here.
I just thought of two helpful metaphors that just hopped into my head. Have you ever been an assistant coach on one of your kids' like sports teams? Not the head coach, the assistant
Good call.
coach.
That's a great analogy. Yes, I have.
It could be tough being an assistant coach.
Because you're like, this is the way we should do it, but it's not your rodeo.
It's not your rodeo. Or if you ever gone into like your kid's classroom and you're just the parent helper for the day, right? Or maybe you're on a field trip and you're just the parent helper and you realize that, hey, this isn't as organized as it should be, or they need better leadership over there. Like that support without taking over, that is a good way of thinking about it.
I think about you all the time when you're like at a restaurant and you're seeing other families go through stuff. You're like, oh, I could totally fix this right now. But you probably just have to stay quiet. They're on their own journey. If my buddy needs help, maybe he'll ask me, because that's got to be difficult.
I do feel that sometimes. I felt it 3 days ago. I was in the UPS store and I walk in and I walk through and there's a 2 or 3 year old girl standing right Like, no, sitting on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Right in front of me. And I could have tripped over her. And she's crying and she's
And her
yelling.
parents are right
and
there.
I'm like, what the crap is going on
Right.
here? So I'm like, hey, little girl. And I walk around her. And then I see the mom, and she's doing a fabulous job. She's staying calm, and she's saying, look, I need you to move because you're going to get tripped over. It's going to get hurt, and I need you to please. And she's doing the best job to try to connect with the child and get her to move. So the child moves.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And then the child is now a little girl, a little dress, a little Persian skin color. And now she's moping on the side of the UPS. And I'm in line. And I see the mom who's kind of in line and packing her box.
Yeah.
Right. And there's other people there. And I'm just feeling like, oh my gosh, this mom is feeling really embarrassed. Yeah. She probably thinks people are judging her. And so I said to her, hey, I think you're doing a great
you did?
job.
That's sweet of you.
Look here. You got her to move. You're staying calm. You're a great mom. And she just smiled and she just felt relaxed. And then another woman in line, she said, I agree. You're doing a great job.
That's awesome.
Mom. You're doing a great job. And we all just smiled,
cool. Yeah.
you know?
Well, that's a tip. Us grandparents.
That's a tip.
Maybe we should tell our kids, hey, I know it's tough. You're doing a great job.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it means. Support without taking over. Now, I did think deeply about saying this to her. Hey,
what the heck is wrong with you? Have you been a parent before?
No.
Like, get out of line and go.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not what I was thinking. I did think about saying this. Hey, I love to. Can I give you a tip? About what you can do?
Yeah, you can't do that because she'd be like, "Who the heck are you? Who do you think you are?"
But I didn't. Right, I didn't. I think she would have let me because I think she, I think we were vibing and she saw that I was for her, not against her. But I feel like this story is a little bit about grandparenting.
Yeah, totally.
Like sometimes the parents, they're not interested in your tips, and sometimes they are. But how you give your tips really matters. Most of the time, your kids are not interested in your tips. Like this woman in the UPS store, I played it safe, right? No tips. Like she's a grown woman. She's a great mom. She can figure this out, So it's like this is like I think that's a good story of like highlighting. You got to sit in the tension of the powerlessness in grandparenting or UPS.
But there's something that just came to me that you taught me that if anybody is hearing this story and it rings a bell, take that moment to give a tip with a story. You could have told them like, oh my gosh, my daughter did the same thing one time. You know what I did? I blah, 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 blah.
Oh, that's good.
And you would have taught her through a story without actually saying, can I give you a tip?
That's good. No, that's good. That's a good tip for me as a tip giver. You give me a tip on how to give tips. That is really good. Yeah. So yeah, that's like, all right, here's point number 3. All right. Your evolving role. How do you respect the parenting boundaries? Tip number 3. I want you to ask yourself, are you adding to their life or are you taking
whose life?
Think of it this way. The parent's life.
As a grandparent.
As the grandparent, are you adding to their life or are you taking from it?
Okay, that's good.
Like when you're around them, are you needy? Are you outspoken? Are you causing conflict? Are you critical? Are you making it about you? Are you saying, I can't do this because I have a hair appointment or I'm too busy with this or no, we can't just run our whole schedule around the kids' naps or you know what? You're the parent. We can't just put the kids first, everything. Are you giving or are you in taking? Kind of like what that means is remember like your job as a great grandparent.
Yeah, that's a hard one because you're not a great grandparent, but you're a fantastic grandparent. So you're a great grandparent. That's good.
Think presence over presence. Presence over presence. Now, presents are great. Everybody likes presents. Opening a present, Christmas, birthday, little gifts, little treats, whatever. But your caring, calm, giving, helpful, service-minded presence is really, really helpful. Are you there to give or are you there to receive? And if you want to be a great and a fantastic grandparent that every parent and kids loves, you got to be thinking that way. I'm here to serve. It's not about me.
All right. So for number 4, this one's interesting because I'm going to argue both sides of why you should do this and why you shouldn't do this. Okay. Tip number 4 is you need, as a grandparent, to honor the family's routines and rules. Okay, so just think about this, right?
Okay.
Bedtime. Sean Don says bedtime's at 7:00. It better be at 7:00. Even if me and Danielle are going on a
Yes.
date, you better put the kids down at 7:00. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Maybe.
right?
I
Of
don't know.
course.
I'm gonna fight against that. I'm gonna fight against that.
Oh.
Okay. Screen time.
Uh-oh.
All right. Screen time's important, but how important? Food preferences. All right. I can give you a personal example. My mom and stepdad will come visit. They'll take the kids out. They're, hey, we're going to go to the bounce house. We're going to go play at the park. We're going to, oh, great. You're going to go get their energy run. Thank you. I got house projects to do. Go. Come back. They're eating a Blizzard from Dairy Queen. Oh, we just had a bunch of sugar at the
my
sugar
gosh.
factory. It was so great. And I'm like,
Jeez.
oh my gosh, they just gave this kid all this sugar, and now they're coming to the house, and they're bouncing off the walls. But then you hear my mom and stepdad say, hey, that's what grandparents are for, right? This is what we do. We want to give them all the sweets. We want to give them all the presents.
true.
Hey, it's Friday
Yeah.
night. You're going out with Danielle. You're having a great night. You don't care if they stay up till 9, do you? We're going to watch a movie. We're going to watch a movie together on the couch. I want to spend time with my grandkids. So there's a fine line here where there are some boundaries that you should really respect, and there are others that I think it's okay to fudge a little bit. But you have to be smart about it. Don't always be the grandparents that go out and spoil these kids and fudge the rules.
Yes.
And then they go back to their parents and they hate them. Why couldn't you be as cool as grandma? Why can't you be as cool as grandpa? You need to work together.
That was so well said. One way of paraphrasing what you said is you saying this to your parents, the grandparents, mom, dad, papa, mima, grandpa, grandma, I need to be able to trust you. Like, yeah, you can have fun with these kids, but I need to be able to trust you that if bedtime is this is my thoughts, this is how we do things. I need to be able to trust you that you're carrying that on. Yeah, you can still have fun. You don't have to be, you can still do things your way, but please keep
That's
the flow
good. I like
going,
that.
right?
Yeah, that's great. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I love what you said so much. I'm going to do the same thing for the next point. So, number 1 point, embrace your evolving role. Number 2, respecting parenting boundaries. Number 3, are you adding to their life? Or are you taking from it? Number 4, honoring family routines and rules. And number 5 is really complicated. I think we could probably make a whole podcast episode on number 5. All right, sharing your stories and traditions, but in a wise and cool way.
Okay.
Let me explain. One of the coolest parts of grandparents and having grandparents in our lives is that they pass down these traditions to
Wisdom.
us.
Yeah, I love it.
Right?
Totally.
Wisdom. Like, hey, this is what we did in our Mexican heritage. This is what we do in Australia. This is what we did in Sweden. And you learn these stories and you pass them down, whether it be like how you open presents to how the foods that you serve to how you think about respecting elders. I mean, there's like countless traditions.
Yeah,
You with me,
of
guys?
course.
It's just crazy how many.
The hard
there
part
are.
is
And so
the
you
kids don't think that's cool till they're adults, right? It's hard, but you still got to do it, grandparents. You still got to do it.
You got to do it. You got to do it. It's so and so like here's what we need you to do, grandparents. We need you to really, really keep doing you and keep sharing these traditions. But you've got to do it in a wise way because you realize that you're one of 4 grandparents. And if they're step parents or other grandparents, you're one of more than 4, right? It's not about you. You have all these other grandparents who are trying to install their traditions, their values into it. So you've got to realize that some of yours are going to stick and some of them are not. Let me just tell you a quick story of like a really cool thing that my dad did a few years ago. We all met up in Washington State at my sister's house, and he prepared a whole little presentation on the Donohue family heritage.
That's awesome.
And he brought a video about Ireland. He brought a little like chart about, hey, this is what your great grandpa was doing. This is your great grandma. He made it fun. He made it exciting. It was like a presentation. And man, I loved it.
Cool.
I loved it. As far as the kids, whether they loved it, I think they
Yeah.
did too. I think they all loved it. It just brought the family together. It was a great thing. Like also, furthermore, my dad used to have these big St. Patrick's Day parties growing up, and he still does. It just kind of put my full name is Sean Patrick Donohue, so it just put this whole like sense of Irish pride and heritage and joy around our heritage. And you got any stories like that about like things your parents or
I
grandparents?
mean, when I was
have
a
done?
kid, no, but as I got older, I seeked out all this knowledge from my grandparents. I think that's so cool that your dad actually did like a little presentation, because I go back now and I sit my grandparents down and I ask them all this stuff about their childhood, and I try to take notes and I try to get in that information, because as we know, I mean, we're all not going to be here forever, and you got to really get that info while you can. But those moments like you're talking about, that is so cool, where like you could sit a family down and it's almost like you're doing a little quick family tree, because even if the kids are running around, they might get a little nugget that sticks with them when they're older.
Here's a great little action step. Okay, let's say, imagine you're a grandmother and you're driving in a car with your teenage daughter, and you really want to talk her ear off about your past, your history. Before you do that, wait. Realize that your teenage daughter might want to hear about that, but she might not want to. And she's probably not going to tell you, Grandma, I love you, but you talk about your past too much, and I'm kind of annoyed by it. So think of it this way.
Interesting.
Tell her 5 minutes. Tell her 5 minutes of a
this
story.
is good, and see if
instead
she
of
prompts a follow-up. That's great.
And then instead of playing your music in the car that you
Play
like,
T Swift.
ask her. T-Swift, ask her, what kind of music do you like, honey? So like, work with her, right? Realize that there's like, it's not just about you. So like, beware that people may not want to hear about your history, your childhood, your upbringing as much as you like telling them about it. So you got to handle that wisely.
Love it. All right. What is that? Okay. What is that band you're going to bring up when you're a grandparent? Be like, oh man, these guys were the jam in my day. Right?
Oh my gosh!
You're gonna be like in sync. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know who's it gonna be.
No, all right, no,
I don't know.
You guys.
I mean, I love Linkin Park. Like that was big when I was.
Linkin Park.
But like even like ludicrous rap back then, like Ja Rule. Remember how much we would rock out to those guys?
Ja Rule. So I'm a little older than you. So for me, it wasn't Ja Rule. I would probably say Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah, of course, Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. Yes.
Because the dance songs, I'm just dancing, senior prom. That's what I was dancing to. So okay, let's keep it going. All right, so sharing your stories and traditions in a wise way. We're down 2 more points, grandparents. What's point number 6?
It's going to be hard for us, but we got to learn to grow with the times, all right? So I understand the frustration that can come with like this gentle parenting idea when us grandparents weren't used to that. I say us like I'm a grandparent. I'm not a grandparent. I'm just role playing here. Mental health awareness is much bigger these days, okay? Especially with these young kids. The tech world is so insane. And obviously we talk a lot about on this podcast how that is the big problem with all of this, but it's almost like we grandparents have to be curious about some of these new practices before we put judgment on them. At least this might allow us to show our kids that we're trying, right? So we want to like try and be curious. If you're a parent out there, try to encourage your parents on this different approach. And one way they're doing it is probably by submitting this podcast to them and say, hey, check this out. Listen to these guys. These are 2 dads that are just kind of talking about parenting. And, I'd love to have you involved in my kid's life and your grandchild's life, but you just got to know I do things differently. And then you as a grandparent have to be okay with that and have to be curious about what those differences are and allow your child to go through their journey, right? And just know that you also have wisdom that you could pass on to your kid, because you never stop being a parent, right? And so you are still being a parent, meanwhile you're not parenting.
Yeah, well said. It's almost like it's okay if the grandparents, it's okay if you don't like video games, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Let's just pick YouTube, for example. It's okay if you don't like ChatGPT. It's okay. That's who you are. You're being honest with yourself. But how this would come about with your grandchildren, as Jordan talks about, learning how to grow and adapt with the times. That if you say to your grandchildren, I don't know why you kids do go on that stuff. It's so stupid. It doesn't make sense. It's pointless. What you're pretty much saying is, hey, the things that you care about, I don't care about. So don't bring that garbage into my house. Instead, say, I don't really understand this stuff, But, tell me, what do you think about it? Or show me some of your favorite YouTubers, or show me something that you like looking at online. So you want to enter into their world, because it's not about you here. This is not about you. This is about you adapting to a new role so you can be the grandparent every kid and every parent loves. All right. We're down to our last 7 point. I think it's the most important thing. You shouldn't be surprised by what I'm about to say, because I've mentioned it many times in today's podcast. 7 action steps. Number 7, be a servant. Be the calm in the chaos. You want to position yourself, grandparent, as an emotional anchor. You're safe. You're calm. You're a loving presence in this busy, chaotic world. Parenting is so hard and scary and chaotic. We're scared for our finances. We're exhausted. We're overwhelmed. We're scared for our children every day. We wish we had more support. We're stressed. We're trying to figure out how to parent every day. We're confused, and we would love the help. And your goal is to be a predictable old person. That's it. Your job is to be a predictable old person. Be the same person every day. Someone we can count on. Someone we can aspire to be. So we can all say, one day, I want to get my stuff together. Yeah. So I can be a predictable old person. Because it's so hard. You know what I mean? So I hope you're not offended by me saying a predictable old person, but that is like a great vision, like a wise sage. Someone who's not up and down, who's service-minded. Because what does it mean to be a servant? What does it mean to show up and to care for your children and your grandchildren, to not make it about you? It's really about love. So all today's episode is really about one thing. How do you show up with a lot of love for your children and your grandchildren?
Yeah. Have we started a Sean Donohue clothing line yet? Because we totally need to. That's a sweatshirt. That's a hoodie right there. Be a predictable old person. Or I'm a predictable old person. I'd rock that sweatshirt all day. You know that brand, Old Guys Rule, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that brand is big.
Yeah.
Change it up.
It is big. Still big.
P.O.P.
Predictable old person. Pop.
That's exactly right.
What are you going to... I'm going to be called a grandpa. Are you going to be called a granddad? Are you going to be called Gramps? Have you thought about that at all? What are you going to be called when you get to be a grandparent?
I want to be called whatever the kid can call me, right? So they want to call me,
what? Yeah,
Papa, cool. They want to call me, I'm not used to that. They want to call me Grandpa, cool. They want to call me G-Pa. Right? The
G-Pa? Yeah. We got a Bapa. We had a Bapa because that's the first thing my daughter Maddie could pronounce, what you're saying. She was calling him Bapa, and he stuck with it. He's a Bapa. He's the world's best Bapa.
So I don't know. I don't know if I care. So
yeah.
I just want, I'm excited for that time too. I mean, I don't want to think about it right now because I still got young kids. I'm like, dude, no, that can wait. All right.
So my grandparents, we close every episode with a little catchphrase. I'm going to give it to you. All right. Here comes the little catchphrase. It goes like this. Stay strong. Be close. And teach wisdom. And I say this over you. So stay strong as a grandparent. Strong in love, in predictability, in kindness, in servitude. Stay strong. Be close. Be close to your kids and your grandkids. Spend time with them. Spend money to travel there. Spend money on gifts. Help them, invest your time in your finances and take them all if you can, save up money to take them here, take them there. Stay strong, be close, and teach wisdom. Because grandparents and parents have something that children do not have, and that is wisdom. So we've got to give it to them. Thanks for listening and letting us be in your life for today. Have a good day.